What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? How you doing? And welcome back to Sharing Our Stories. My name is Slim with Nani Al Jalil and our guest Gio Chavez. And want to thank you for checking us out, for clicking on and checking in with us, because this program is all about addiction and recovery right here in the Mile High. We celebrate Denver, Colorado, and all Colorado, and from all over, but really we celebrate Colorado recovery right here. So whether you're addicted to drugs or alcohol or both, and other things, we've had people come in to talk about other addictions, sex addictions, but whatever it is that you're addicted to, we want to show you that there is a pathway to your recovery. There are so many different pathways to recovery, and that you may find something similar in your pathway, in your story to someone else's, but no two stories are exactly the same. And I think there's power in every single one. So when you check in here and join us, you're here to celebrate recovery. So thank you for being here for that. Nani!
Woo-hoo!
On the other side of the room.
Yes.
She just celebrated her birthday last week, folks.
I did. 44. Yeah.
Look, girl, say it. Say it. Looking good, too.
Authentic self. Yes.
Yeah, looking good. Living
Thank
your best
you.
life.
Yeah, I am. Mm-hmm.
All right. How many years of recovery you have now?
I'm coming up on 7 years.
You're
July
coming up on
5th
7 years.
Is my 7 years.
So you were 38 roundish?
Yeah.
Around there?
Somewhere around there. Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
What do you think you would be like now at 44?
Oh my God. I'd be in prison for sure. I'd still be serving a prison sentence.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about it a little bit before the show started. And it's like, when I first got into recovery and sobriety, the best things that I could have imagined for my life, I would have been cutting myself short for what I have today.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that it was possible to have the life that I have. It wasn't even believable.
And now you're doing like you are a government employee.
Government employee.
doing things for, what is your position now?
So I work with the Denver City and County courts, and my title is Forensic Peer Specialist, Peer Support Specialist. But what we very specifically do is, as people are going through the system or going through the court system, is like getting connected with them, finding out kind of what some of their barriers are and how we can best connect them to different people in the community and different resources, and just what is it that people need. And the reality is that, when it comes to justice and the justice system, so many of us that have any kind of experience within the justice system also have experience with either mental health or substance use. And it's like that becomes just one more product of like what we're going through. So I love the opportunity that I have with this position, because, in my time, I've gotten to meet amazing people with a lot of different resources and opportunities. And now it's just a matter of getting the people who are in the thick of it connected to those resources.
I just love what you're doing. I keep telling you, whenever we talk about it, I'm like, I can't wait to see how much further you're going to go in the work you're doing in our community.
It's a great opportunity. It's a great program. I work with great people. And it's something that I really appreciate is the changes that have been made to recognize substance use and mental health, not as crimes, but as, an opportunity to help people reset. And we've come a really long ways in a pretty short amount of time. But I know, 7 years ago when I was going through the judicial system, there wasn't a lot of this like that out there. So it's cool that there is now.
And this man in the middle, very, very similar, because I think he would say the same thing. Like, man, if I wasn't in recovery right now, I might be incarcerated.
Yeah.
But instead, you're sitting here and you even got great news that came through today for you. So, I mean, it's an amazing and joyous thing to have you here. We want to welcome Gio Chavez. Gio went through, I had it right here too. where did I hate to say I missed it now.
Oh, Avenues.
Avenues.
Yep.
Yep. Avenues. And also Transition Sober Living.
Whoop whoop. We know Scott. We love Scott.
Yeah, Scott's
Great
awesome.
houses.
Yeah,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you just passed a year.
Just
Yes.
right year sobriety.
Congratulations.
Come
Yeah,
on.
thank you guys.
So we want to thank you for being here. And we want to welcome you to share today.
Mhm.
All right. Share where you're at, share where you've been, share how you got to where you are right now. And more than anything, we want you to know this is a safe place. All right. So be as open as you like. And we thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you, Slim.
Absolutely.
Ronnie.
Gio Chavez.
Yep, thank you guys. Really grateful to be here with you guys because you guys are doing God's work. So my story, I could go back way back when I was like in elementary school. Because a lot of things happened. Well, first off, I was born here in Colorado, born and raised in Aurora, for the most part, up until like middle school. I remember during elementary school, that's when like I didn't feel like any stability at home. It was a lot of like just loneliness because it was just me and my little baby sisters. My dad, even though he was like always providing and stuff like that, he wasn't really ever there emotionally or, to lend any kind of guidance or anything like that. And he left that all up to my brothers. One of my brothers that we don't talk anymore or nothing like that. He used to discipline us and didn't really ever like them, to be honest.
Your dad didn't like your brothers?
Well, yeah, that was no, I didn't like my brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because was a lot of that because they were your disciplinaries too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of stuff going on there. Me and my little baby sisters we're the only blood of related ones that were there. The rest were half brothers and sisters.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
And my little baby sister, we share the same mom. And so I don't know. Before us, my mom was with my dad. I don't even remember when they split up. They were already split up by the time like I could even recollect any memory.
Mm.
But I've heard stories of like my dad not being a good man to like my other brothers that share the same mom. I think it was because of him, to be honest, that they went down the wrong path of like gangs and stuff like that. I think because if it wasn't for him to kick them out one day in particular, that they met those people, that they had to go the wrong way, finding and trying to seek love in all the wrong places. That's just the way I see it. But so like we lived there up until like middle school, and we hated it. Me and my little sisters hated it. We would always run away, and this was like in like little elementary kids. Like we'd run away, and I remember one day, like because he would try to buy us with like gifts and stuff like that, and I remember him always whipping us, and he would we'd go cry to the closet, and I remember he'd be like, "Oh, come on, let's go to the store, let's go get something to eat." So he would always try to buy us with money and stuff like that.
After upsetting you,
Yeah,
whipping you, and you're crying in the closet.
yeah, and
That's a yo-yo.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time because he bought us a go-kart.
Dang, that's a big gift.
Yeah, I mean, he was always working and stuff, but I remember with that go-kart, we ran away. Me and my little baby sisters in elementary. we ran away.
He got us a car. We're out of here.
It was pretty funny because like we made it like down the street and like we ran out of gas and we posted up. I was still elementary kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like tore up our shirts, had a sign and stuff like to get money.
Oh
So we
man,
could go with my mom.
We got to keep going. Yeah.
you guys had a
But
plan.
That was the goal, to go to my mom's house.
But there was some heartbreak behind all that. Yeah. We wanted to get away for real.
Yeah. So he ended up finding us, and again, he took us to the store and stuff like that. I think he went to go buy us school supplies that day. I'm not sure how he is, or he tried his best, but eventually, like we ended up like, so we moved to Commerce City for middle school. Went to Hanson Elementary. Um, and there was the same thing, except by then my brothers had left, so now we were all alone. It was just me and my little sisters at home, and then by that time we started like being able to go more with my mom. And I remember, man, I remember falling in love with my mom for the first time, because like all that I would ever remember was of everything that he would like describe my mom to be, And when I met my mom at a little bit older age, and really got to meet my mom for who she is, I grew this hatred towards my dad.
Mm.
Um, so we ended up like eventually like we became to be too much for my dad. I think like towards like high school, just like rebelling because we just didn't like being around there, and so we got the chance to go to my mom's house, go live with my mom, and that was it was like a relief, but at the same time, like it built like I had this resentment towards my dad that I'm still working on,
Mhm.
But there, like it was like a whole different atmosphere, the whole different world, like. But by then, like I feel like by then we were already kind of like rebellious, stuff like that, because we had picked that up, you know, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. And it was around that time, like middle school and high school, that I started using. That's the first time. I think it was like in 8th grade. I was like 13 when I first tried using weed with my friend Jesse, um, and started to drink and and experiment with drugs and stuff like that. And um, so by the time we got to my mom's house, it was kind of like a little bit too late, because my mind is wired different, than other people. I can't just quit. Um, so that I took that with me over there to my mom's house, and I remember my brother got out of prison because we'd always. I remember my brothers, and like I kind of looked up to them because they didn't show us the same kind of brotherly love, that my other brothers had given us. And my brothers, I kind of looked up to them in a way, because just how my mom would talk about them, and it was all love, and it was nothing disciplinary. It felt like it was kind of hatred, in a way, like in a child's. I feel like in a child's eyes, like too much discipline could be looked at like a hate,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and so that's what it felt like. But beating my brothers, and then one of them had gotten out of prison, and going along with him, we ended up breaking into some houses and stuff, and then that's when I tried meth for the first time when I was 16. After doing all that dumb stuff, tried meth for the first time, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Where has this been my whole life?" And that just set a whole like domino effect of like ruining my life. I remember though before that, like I was living at my mom's house, and I was able to start working. I started working as a drywall helper with my stepdad, and he showed me how to work, and like some of those things I still carry with me today, and I'm very blessed to have had that happen, to have had somebody to show me how to work. Um, so a little bit like at the end of that job, because there was this project that we were doing, and then towards the end of that job, that's when I started using meth, and I couldn't even function anymore. Just imagine a 60-year-old kid on meth trying to
Mhm.
work.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It was all bad. And then my parents like started like telling me, "Hey, like you're on some heavier shit. Like what's going on with you?" "Oh no, I'm fine. I'm
Mhm.
fine." Started lying and manipulating just to get my way and stuff like that. Um, we ended up well, I dropped out of high school at 11th grade, because by then it was already too late. I was already hanging out with the wrong crowd. I was, glorifying things that I shouldn't be, like gangs and stuff like that, and hanging out with the people that would ditch and stuff like that, and it just seemed like the right idea in my head for some reason. I don't know why, but you know, it just made sense to leave school and try to like take control of my own hands.
We all thought everybody was the cool kids.
Yeah.
It's just like you just think that's the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
That's how we all go through this.
Mhm.
And it's not good.
No, it didn't work out very good for any of us. Yeah.
And so, I ended up ditching, or I ended up dropping out of school and trying to, say, oh, I'm getting older now. Like it's just work,
Mm-hmm.
like it's just work.
Because you picked up some skills and you're like, money's coming in. So if I already know how to make money, I don't need to go to school.
And so the thing is, like,
it's not how it works, but that's how we think.
Mhm.
The thing is with addiction and doing something good and then getting validated for it makes your ego get blown up, makes your head blow up. And when I felt that kind of like that validation from my parents, my mom and my stepdad, that I felt good, like, oh, I'm working, I'm contributing to the house. Like it felt good, and I didn't want to lose that control that I thought I had, that any kind of sense of like pride that I thought I had, that was anything like honorable, while still using drugs.
Mhm.
So it was just all like a big old psychosis, basically. Well, my parents ended up like we moved from Thornton because that's where my mom was living after we left my dad's house, and then they ended up moving to Commerce City, where for like the next 6 or 7 years I spent the most miserable days of my life. I remember we had this trailer on 72nd and like Highway 2, and my mom was like, oh, I'm out of here. Like, I don't want nothing to do with this. Like, because we were all on drugs, and my brother had just got out of prison, and he was like bringing it was a bad scene. It was a bad thing. And she was like, I'm out of here. And her and my stepdad left, and they left us the trailer, and they're all like, you guys pay for it.
They left the kids. They said, we're out.
I said, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, by that
This
time,
is a mess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not little kids. You guys are grown, but still, they're like, this is a mess.
Yeah, they were just trying to save themselves, man. Like, it was a bad scene.
Sinking ship.
Yeah, it was a bad scene. And I don't blame her for that. But yeah, so that happened. My mom left. I lost a job because at that point I was like too deep into like making sense of anything. Like the drugs and alcohol had control of my life, like 100%. Like everything I did was for meth and alcohol. I worked just to feed my drug and alcohol addiction. Like I didn't worry about the bills or or any food or anything like that. Like it was all strictly for meth and alcohol. And well, I ended up losing that. We ended up losing that trailer, and I went homeless. And that's when like I really, I was still young, younger than I am now, but I was still young, like maybe like 18, 19, something like that. And I really, then I like, instead of, reaching out to help, because my ego, my head was so big, like, I ain't going to give up this control. Like, I got this, I'll figure it out. He told me you could always figure it out. Don't ever say you can't not figure something out. And so I carried that with me. And for so long, like that's when, like, I don't know if you know, maybe like, so in the beginning of like your addiction, like that's when you start like burning all kinds of bridges, and
Oh yeah.
you start like
quickly.
stealing from your friends and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And, and you, like later on, you find out that's not what you do. There's no, kind of has some kind of loyalty,
Mhm.
But that's when that started happening for me. Like I would steal from my friends. People would like not open the door for me anymore, and I just didn't care. I didn't care at all, And the more I did that, like I started closing those doors. But instead of giving up the sense of control, like, and ask for help, I would find new ways or hang around with people and then have something trigger in my mind, like, oh, look at that, that's smart. Let's just do that. Like, then start stealing cars and all kinds of other stuff, and then just to,
Feed that addiction.
yeah, everything just to feed that addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Along with all that, like I started like hanging out with like different crowds, because to begin with, it was like the Commerce City crowd was like, oh, there's just the people just running around in bikes with backpacks on them, and then eventually like my brother got out of prison, my other brother got out of prison, and he jumped me into a gang, so I started hanging out with them more, and that kind of crowd, and then I felt that I was getting more streetwise. It's nothing honorable, but that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just start doing dumber and dumber things.
But when you're in that environment, getting more streetwise feels like a badge of honor. Like you get these levels of respect. So once again, it's almost like feeding your ego. It's like everything I'm doing is right because other people will pat you on the back for it, basically.
Yeah.
Well, and when you're living that kind of street life too, I mean, to be like, oh, I got a better job today. I'm more successful at this today. Like that's not the way that people think. It doesn't vibe with what's going on.
No. And the thing is with like doing all that stuff, like there was some kind of sense of validation in it.
Mm-hmm.
There was some kind of like sense of like, oh, that's the homie, like I'm gonna keep him around, like some kind of sense of love, false love, but it was there, and so that kind of like fed that hole, like of everything that was happening. Like I felt like some kind of, even kind of safety, So I found myself to be like in jail. I was in jail. I remember I was in jail because throughout like all this, like I would still try to work, because that was like my thing, I like to work. And I met people and I ended up going into roofing, but it was like residential and with like subcontractors. So like every winter time, it would be like super slow. And I find myself to be in jail those days because then I would like start picking up and start stealing stuff again. And
because you're not making money, and you got to have it to feed.
Yep, exactly. And so I would find myself in jail like every single winter. And for years, it was pathetic, really. But man, it wasn't like that was like just my life, or that's what I knew. That's what I wanted to do.
Right.
And it was all just, I would lie and manipulate anything or anybody to get my way, and so I could feed that addiction. Like I never really thought about, oh, like I'm gonna save up for a car. Those times, like I didn't think about nothing like that. Like I didn't think about like buying a house or even an apartment or anything. Nothing. There was nothing productive. It was all to just get drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, to get your next high so that you can move on. Maybe you think about tomorrow, the actual day tomorrow, but it's as far ahead as you're able to think.
I think it was that and like seeking validation in other places, trying to feel that kind of sense of love from anybody or feel like any kind of feeling that I belong anywhere. Like, so like eventually that continued. And I remember when I was homeless, like I swore to myself that I would never be homeless again. Because there was this one time where like I had burned everybody, I burned everybody, and nobody would open the door, and it started snowing. And I remember like having to be out there on Taco Bell over there in the corner, all huddled up with my brother's girlfriend because she got stuck out there with me too. And we didn't have nowhere to go because everyone, didn't want to open the doors for me anymore. And I swore to myself I would never be homeless again. And so like I started like stealing cars, just anything to be in some kind of safety. Eventually, like there was this one time where, and this was back, like, so this started when I was like 13, right? There was this time I found myself in jail and I got gotten in a fight with this guy, and they put me in this 23-in-1 cell. And
what's that?
Just the hole.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole.
Oh, 23 hours and 1 hour out.
Uh-huh.
Okay, gotcha.
And there I got a hold of a Bible for the first time. Not for the first time, but I got a hold of a Bible and I opened it to study it. And I think that was like the very first time I ever had a spiritual experience. Was in jail. I remember I had the cell to myself, and I would stay up all night reading the Bible and writing things down. And I think it was because I memorized or I learned the Lord's Prayer in a different language rather than Spanish. Okay. Because in Spanish I could recite it like off the back of my hand, like just the back of my head. And learning it in a different language, I think, gave it some kind of power. And I prayed to God that He would help me for my addiction. For the first time ever, asked for help. I remember I was going to the halfway house, and mind you, like every time before that, like I'd be on probation so many times, and I would just get out and run. Like I didn't even show up to the first meeting or anything like that. My thing was just go get high again. Mm-hmm. And this time was different. That's why I said it was like a spiritual experience, because after this time, like I got out to the halfway house and I didn't have any, like it wasn't even a thought to run. It wasn't even a thought to go and get high. Like for the first time, like I felt like I had some kind of like clarity in thinking.
Yes.
And I got a job and, having money and, having my family come back in my life, like that felt good, But I still managed to mess everything up because I'm known for that kind of stuff. I got out of the halfway house and it didn't take long for me to relapse off of alcohol. And I got into a fight. I remember because these people were messing with my little sister, and that kind of set me off. And I got into a fight, and then the halfway house didn't really think nothing of it until like a while. Then they called me in there and they locked me back up. That's when I went to prison to finish the remainder of that time. That was an experience too, like going to prison, and man, I was kind of afraid. I was afraid, to be honest. I had some fear of, because I've heard stories and I've seen stories. I've seen people having to go in there and, come out with more or not get out on time because they get more charges and stuff like that. And to me, like at that point, like, after having been able to start working and, have some kind of sense of like, all right, I want to change my life, then landing in prison, like I was afraid that I was going to not be able to, it felt like that.
There's another obstacle.
Yeah, it was another obstacle. And while in there, like, because mind you, by then I already been jumped into a gang, so I had to go and I have it all blasted on my back and stuff. So it was not like I could deny anything. Mm-hmm. So I just had to go with it, But by the grace of God, like while I was in there, we were red tagged like half the time, like more than half the time than that I was in there. Like I spent most of the time in the cell with my cellie because somebody else acted up and they just classified everyone.
Yeah, and so you're always getting locked back down.
Yeah, and it wasn't even for me, but like I think that was by the grace of God that I didn't have to do anything that I didn't want to do, and then
hopefully you had a good cellie all that time together.
Yeah, he was a good dude. He was an awesome dude. Yeah, shout outs to Rowdy. He was a good dude. Yeah, so we were like red tagged most of the time. And then, but in there, like I ended up relapsing right before I got out. Right before I got out too, I ended up relapsing. There was some meth in there. And when I got out, it wasn't even a thought anymore to do good. Like I had relapsed and I was like, by the time I got out, and like this time when I was at the halfway house, I had prayed. I was like, God, no, before at jail, I had prayed to God that he would help me out with my addiction and to help me find somebody that loved me. And I met Tina. And that's when I met, like, and she hit me up because of a friend we have in common, that introduced us basically, and that woman loved me. That I messed that up, but so forgot where I was going with this. Okay, so when I got out of prison, I had wanted to just get high, and I remember like she didn't have a like that big of a problem. I don't think like I did, because when she could just stop, you know. But so we decided to drink, and in my mind, like my mind just goes straight to meth. Like
Mm.
that's my demon. And so that led me into a spiraling relapse, you know, and that's when I caused a lot of, you know, shame and guilt. Um, I heard a lot of people that, you know, were counting on me, and like you were like cheerleading for me, you know. They were there to throughout my whole stay that year in prison. Like they, you know, they were there to back me up, and when I got out, like I messed everything up. Uh, my sister let me stay at her house, um, and I ended up relapsing, and you know, that's a it brought a lot of shame and guilt, because I was manipulating again, I was lying, and I was doing the same dumb stuff that I found to be like fun, which is like just doing the same behaviors that I did before. Um, and that's when it was at that time that I was still well, because I got out of prison, and I went to Adams County for a warrant, and they let me out, and I got on probation and parole, and um, um, probation, like I didn't run from probation, I didn't run from parole either, but I was still getting high and drunk, and um, and I was dropping all their UAs and stuff like that, and they decided to send me to a treatment center.
Mhm.
Excuse me. That treatment center, IRT, ATC in Sterling, man, shout outs to them too. They uh they do a lot of good stuff out there for the people. Um, but they literally see this whole time, like I was like I told you in the phone, like this whole time, like I was fighting uh the system. I was fighting any kind of law enforcement, like with this imaginary beef that I had.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it was totally imaginary, and I was
Mhm.
causing all this stuff to myself.
Mhm.
And but they're the ones that saved my life. Like,
The ones that you had this beef with.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
no doubt. Like if it wasn't for probation giving me the chance instead of just locking me up, like you know how you were saying, like
Yep.
back then they didn't have the same chances. Like I seen that firsthand with like my brother. Like um I lost a brother to suicide in prison because I feel like they didn't have those resources, they didn't have those chances then. Um he he did a lot of time. All my brothers did a lot of time, but and it's just for the same thing, I think, because you know they had a drug and alcohol problem, and they didn't have that out that way out. But I was fortunate enough to be able to benefit from probation and parole in that form of them sending me to go get help instead of locking me up.
Mhm.
Um, there, I learned like valuable lessons that you know you might have learned, you know, as a normal kid. Growing up, if you weren't on in drugs and alcohol, you might have learned lessons about like accountability and you know, respect and stuff like that, and you know how to manage your anger and stuff like that. You know, you might have learned that kind of stuff, but I had to learn it there, and but I'm grateful still, you know, to have learned those there, because then people did it with like with compassion and you know patience. Um, you know, this is some grown adults already. You're trying to teach this stuff too, you know,
Mhm.
but that program it saved my life because now I was able to be more self aware. I was able to be more. After that program, it was easier to take accountability for things that I had done in the past or that I might do, Like I find it's a little bit easier it's not so scary to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Or to ask for help.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, asking for help is huge because like it feels like you lose any kind of sense of control. Like you're giving up something. Cause like for me, I would have rather stayed doing the same dumb stuff that I was doing than to ask for help because that's what I knew. And I knew, even though it was like jail, I knew what the outcome was going to be. And I was okay with it, because I had done it before. And it was nothing new. So why ask for help? But it was through probation and that program that I was brought into a different how you say it? It was like a whole different dimension, basically, like like a whole parallel dimension. Versus like
Right, you like woke up in a different universe. Yeah.
Yes, because like
I
honestly,
get it.
like that other dimension I was living is still there. It's still there to this day. It's still there, but I'm not there.
You're not in that
You're not
world.
I'm not in that.
anymore.
No, I'm not there no more. And so they transferred me. They put me in this other path where and it was through parole that I was able to I got my CDL through probation. I went through that program, and I was able to be there and show up for my family, like my sisters and my mom. And by this time, like my sisters, they all have kids now, and I would just hate for them to go down the same path, And so I'm glad that things turned out the way that they did. Like when I ended up leaving my sister's house, like even though I put her in a very bad spot financially because they were counting on me, when I relapsed before I went to that treatment center, they were counting on me. And I messed everything up, but I'm kind of glad that it all went down that way because, I was chancing to expose my little nephews to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I already know firsthand what happens when that happens, But yeah, probation and parole. If the moment I stopped fighting them, it was like my saving grace. Like these people saved my life, and now I don't have to be living like I did, and that's looking over my shoulder
And living in fear was in my head.
living in fear
And running. You're running from them. You run from yourself. You're just running from everybody.
It is exhausting. It is exhausting to live like that. And there's a better way. So right now, so even after that program though, I didn't work a program. I didn't, so it the fear out of returning to that same lifestyle kept me sober for so long. I was able to accomplish some of the best things that I've ever been able to accomplish in my life, like getting my license for the first time. I bought a car. Getting insurance felt good.
Yeah,
man, that feels really good.
It does. And
not driving with you looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
It feels amazing.
It does, honestly. But I think the greatest of my accomplishments ever, because it was getting off probation and parole, getting off paper for the first time ever. Yeah. There came a time in my addiction that I was like, oh, this is gonna be me forever. I'm destined to die in prison. That's what it's gonna be. I'm either gonna die in prison or just die of an overdose or something like that. And so getting off probation and parole, that's why I say it's one of my greatest accomplishments, because I never pictured me to do that. But so that happened. I got off probation and parole. I started a career and I started doing good things. I got a job driving trucks. And I was able to show up for the people that love me and that were there showing up for me, and that was the best reward ever that I've given myself, to be able to show up for those that have fought for me since this all started. I don't think I could ever repay them, for that. But so yeah, I still ended up managing because I didn't work a program during this whole time. Like I ended up relapsing. Because me and Tina decided, I got off probation and parole, and now we're like, oh, let's go take a trip. Never have been able to leave the state ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the first time, I'm like, oh, okay, hell yeah, let's go. Like, let's go to California and to go visit my family. And we decided, oh, well, we're just gonna drink. Like, we're just gonna drink out there.
Because you think you've got it together now, though.
Yeah.
It's a confidence thing that I know how to do this now. Because look how
Exactly.
well I've done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Complacency snuck up on me. And by the time we said, okay, yeah, let's drink, like I was high and drunk before I even left the state. Like it was over from there. And like that, like we still went on our trip, but coming back was a disaster. Coming back to a disaster. And again, like, I ended up relapsing and doing the same whole thing again, the same behaviors, everything the same. But except for this time. So this time because the first time I tried to get sober was I cut out everyone from my life that I thought was not bringing any kind of value to me. And so with the next time that I relapsed, I found myself to be surrounded by a bunch of people that I did not like at all. And it was some of the most miserable days as well. It got really dark, caused a lot of pain to Tina, lying and manipulating and so much things. Like I lost my job. I couldn't hold a job anymore. I remember I had to quit driving trucks because I was like driving trucks drunk and high. Like, I don't know if I should probably say that, but
that was the past, so it's okay. It's part of who you were. It's part of who you were, not who you are.
Yeah, I mean, so it was kind of scary because like I was over here trying to pour 4 locals into a thermal while shifting gears and driving a cement truck down the road. It got kind of scary. I ended up quitting those jobs, man, and just I kind of again like try not to give any kind of control that I felt that I had, like it's like my life was like leaving the grasp of my hand, like I was losing it, and I was trying to hold on to it for everything that I had. Like my car is the only thing that made it out of that whole storm.
Isn't it interesting how a relapse, like that time you spent rebuilding all of that stuff, how quickly you can lose all of it? It's just like in a flash.
I mean, that happened within like a few months.
Right.
Like it was a couple months, like before, like I couldn't hold a job anymore. I found myself lying to my sister. That's when I got kicked out. Yeah, it was all bad. Like just the look on their faces, like after, like they know, like, and I was trying to sit there and lie, and then, just that look after it breaks my heart. But, yeah, so ended up, going homeless again. I was sleeping outside in my car. Tina followed me there. Tina followed me to homelessness. Even though like, that's why I say that woman loved me, because my sister gave me the option to stay. She's like, let him go do his thing, like let him go. He knows what he's doing. Like, go, you don't have to go though. My sister, Tina, lived with my sister while I was locked up. And like they built this relationship, and my mom stays with my sister, and like they built this relationship with Tina, and so they're like, just let him go. Like you stay here. Like don't follow him. But she followed me anyways. And we both it got pretty bad. I found myself to be like surrounded by these people like that my brother had introduced me to. That's where it all started. Like with these people, like I met them through my brother, and these people were like, I didn't know them, and they're drugs, they're all high and drunk too, and they're just as shady as I was, so I always had to be looking out for my stuff, and so it was just a miserable time. And after losing like my brother to suicide, I never ever thought that I would even think about putting my mom through something like that again. And it's scary how the disease works because it don't discriminate for nothing, you know.
Nothing.
It brought me there. Like, and it was not until I was there that I was in such in a dark and like broken emotionally and spiritually that I that I was like able, because I was too coward to even do it. But I had to get there by myself because, you know, not trying to lose that sense of control. I had to find myself at the bottom, you know, surrounded by these people I hated and, you know, just spiritually and emotionally broken in order for me to ask for help.
Mhm.
And like nobody could tell me, oh, because they would tell me often, my sister would tell me, go check back into rehab, like go back to rehab. Uh, I was like, nah, I got this. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. You know, that's the whole thing. Like, but I would never listen to her. I would not listen to anybody's advice. Um, but it took me to hit the bottom. That was my rock bottom. After like I didn't have anything to lose, um, except for my life. I felt like that I asked for help. You know, I made that call that I called Avenues. Um,
Mhm.
well, really, I called one of those hotlines to ask for help, and Avenues called me back. Was the only place that called me back. He was the first one to call me back, actually.
Only need one.
Yeah.
That's it. All it takes.
Once they told me that, they're all like, "Yeah, let's do it." You know, uh, the disease was trying to defend itself. Was like when the time came, like I was on the waiting list for 2 weeks. You know, when the time came, they're all like, "All right, we're ready for you tomorrow." No, wait, hold on. Like I got to do this.
I got all these things I
Yeah.
gotta do. Yeah. Always.
Can't make it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's booked for me. What about the next day? Uh-huh.
But I ended up like we're just like, all right, yeah, let's go. Whatever. Yes. Let's just do it. And man, that was a good day. Like I remember showing up to rehab all thinking I was hot shit.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Mhm,
Yeah, but
mhm.
I thought I was, man, it was a mess. But Avenues was a whole different experience than that other treatment center.
Sure. Yeah.
Avenues was like man, shout out to Avenues, man. The community they built there,
Beautiful.
it is. It's like it's not because the first treatment center IRT was more of a forced one. Like either you
Mhm.
get it right, and like your peers were the ones to tell you, okay, like because the ones, you know, they're all processing, they're all leaving, and then new ones are coming in. The ones leaving would be like, no, he's lying on his test. Like
Mm.
he failed him, and they would fail you. And like if you didn't pass it in 3 tries, then you'd fail the program and get, you know, sent to jail or wherever. But Avenues was like a whole nother experience. Like it was, and that's why I say shout out to them, man, because the community they built there, like it's all out of like free will, and like it's all out of patience and love, and you know, actually some people they, you know, they genuinely care about you.
Yeah. It's a new feeling, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, man, right there, like um, I was able to you know get a little time underneath my belt and, you know, get my mind right again, along with like, you know, I picked up some tools along the way, you know, but I think the best thing that I picked up out of Avenues was that the community,
Mhm.
the alumni. Um,
That family that you need,
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it gave like,
especially the right circle around you.
yeah, exactly, yeah, it feels just like that. Like I know that these people got me, you know, and they know I got them, uh, and you know we show up for each other, and we show each other that there's definitely another way. Um, in connection, like I found peace. Um, I don't find myself, well, with connection. I found a lot of other things as well, but like right there, like now I'm not searching for anything. You know what I mean? Like, and that was like my lifeline for a while. Like I would call people every single day. Like I'd be at meetings with them like every single day, and uh, at the alumni meetings. Um, but also like at Avenues, they have outside groups going in there, and like they had AA go in there, I mean, even though like I feel like I've always been more of a drug addict than an alcoholic. I found my home in Alcoholics Anonymous because like I like the fear, and I know the fear of returning to the same lifestyle will keep me sober because it has in the past. But um, now I know alcohol. I didn't think I have a problem with it. You know?
Mhm.
I didn't think
Mhm.
that I was an alcoholic or anything like that. But I learned otherwise. You know, this last relapse,
And it's sure a gateway for you.
Right. And
Exactly.
alcohol is a drug.
it definitely is. Yeah, and it's one that'll sneak up on you.
Mhm.
Um, it sneaks up on you in the forms like, oh yeah, like that's not so bad. You know, it's
Mhm.
not that bad, but
Yeah, it is.
it'll get bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I decided to well, because I listened to all of them. You know, I heard, you know, NA, you know, Recovery Dharma, and they're all good groups. You know, they all have good people in them, and
Mhm.
you know, it's just what works for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what it's
Where you
about.
fit. Yeah.
Yeah, I fit in because I feel like I wanted to build that defense. I wanted to build that defense against alcohol, against that first drink.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could do that, then you know, then I have a fighting chance of not
Yeah.
relapsing. Because you know, there was a time where like I was like, oh, that beer looked good. Like within this last year, like
Mhm,
Mhm.
last
Yeah,
summer,
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. And just for a split second, it came to my mind. But see, that's the disease.
That's
Like
the
Yes, it
disease.
is.
It's
you know, they say like, oh, the disease out there, it's doing push-ups, waiting for you to.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's getting stronger.
Waiting for you to slip and go, you know what? I've been doing this so long. I can do one drink. One drink with my friends. It's the Super Bowl. You know, I can handle the one. It's waiting for you to do that.
Yeah.
And you got to keep reminding yourself that, man, yeah, I am strong. Yeah, I can do this now. Yeah, I work this program with my eyes closed. And that one drink will still knock me on my ass and put me right back where I first started way back in the day.
Yep, exactly.
Just like that. So you're at a year now.
Yeah, I'm at a year now.
What's your recovery day?
May 17th.
You just
Woo!
did it. Oh, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
May 17th. Yeah, this time around is a lot different. Than the first time I tried to get sober. Like then I was just like not working a program. I was just, you know, relying on Tina a lot. I was like codependent on Tina and everything else, like my job and stuff like that. And it wasn't fulfilling. I found I like we argue a lot. So like it wasn't peaceful, you know?
Mhm.
Um
And just so maybe for people listening, if you want to talk about a little bit about your relationship with Tina today, because she is who recommended you for the show.
Yeah.
Because she seems to really believe in you and has seen your growth and your change. And she said, wow, he needs to come on and have a platform to really talk about where he's been and where he is today.
Yeah, I'm grateful for Tina. She showed me a lot. We are no longer together, but I still consider her very close, you know.
Family.
But yeah, I mean, like I got love for Tina, you know, and
Yeah.
because she showed me like in my eyes she was God sent. You know, I asked for help from addiction and someone that loves me, you know.
To be loved.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and she
Yep.
did that. Like she did that without any like condition. Like she didn't care because we were both in the halfway house. She didn't care about my past
Mhm.
or anything like that. Like, you know, we had similar problems, but she genuinely cared about me. Yeah, Tina, I put her through a lot, you know. I think that's like, you know, a lot of that came from, well, that was my first and only like real relationship. I've never had a real relationship.
Mhm.
Like, and me and her were together for like 5 years.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, she's very dear to my heart, and still care about her. But you know, we had to part our ways. You know, there's too much stuff there going on, and just wouldn't work anymore. But
She's still a big, important part of your recovery.
yeah, she's still a big part of my story for sure.
Yeah.
So today you do have a lot of people in your support network. You have Avenues, the alumni program, you have your new transitions, and then tell us about your
What happened today?
what is today?
What happened today?
Well, you know, I found a lot of joy. You know, going into AA, I found a lot of joy in helping others. You know, that's one of the main things you
Yes.
do is helping out others. I found a lot of joy in, even just at the AA, like I've, working the coffee bar or, being chair coordinator and stuff like that. I found a lot of joy in that. And also part of an alumni, being able to help somebody out. So I decided that I was going to shift gears from being a roofer, which I'm just tired of. And I applied at Landmark
Recovery.
Yeah, Landmark Recovery. Shout out to them. They gave me a chance, man.
Yes.
So I applied there to be a patient,
like a patient coordinator or intake.
Yeah, like a
coordinator.
behavioral health technician.
Oh, BHT, right?
Yeah,
behavioral
BHT,
health.
yeah. And so like I just, for a while it was like I prayed because I find a lot of power in prayer.
Yeah,
there is.
And your prayers get answered.
They do
for sure. Yes,
they do for sure. And I was like, God, what do you want me to do? Because like it was either try to help somebody out or go after like my crane operator's license. So it was one or the other. But everything's just falling into place. Like just the way that things have been. Like I didn't mention this, but it's pretty crazy because it's another spiritual experience. Like not too long ago, I got arrested for something that happened in 2023, where I was still high and I broke into someone's car. And prayer helped me out through all that. The whole experience, everything from the moment that I got put in the back of the cop car and I was saying, God, grant me the serenity prayer.
Yep.
That like I felt such a relief, and then the whole experience was different. Like I was in Boulder and I've never been in Boulder, but then people are really nice out there.
Shout out Boulder.
Yeah, then people are nice. Like everyone in the jail was like, "Hey, how you doing? Are you okay?" Like,
don't they do like popcorn on Fridays?
Yeah. Like, the deputies were like going out of their way to help people, and like it was a whole different experience. Like
it's really
how everything has been happening. Like, I just find like if you just do the right thing, like good things happen.
Yeah, I agree.
I went to court for that, right? And after finding this is crazy because I find joy in helping others now, and but they're going to put me in this program called restorative justice, where if I complete this program, they'll dismiss it. But this program is they'll put me face to face with the victim of the crime. I think in other victims of crimes to try to make an amend, try to see how I can make any kind of restitution to those people. So another form of service, another form of helping. So everything's been lining up for me, like, and I just got to give the glory to God, like, because He answered my prayer of like wanting to help others. Yeah. That's what it is. Like, and I always pray like, all right, God, like, please help me be a vessel for you, like, to be of service, to help somebody else out. And so I'm able to. God just didn't think I was, I didn't have to go to jail. So I'm not gonna have to go to jail. But He did that, and then now, like, also with this other, getting my job, like, it's all lining up to be able to help somebody out.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Thanks, bro.
Come on, man. This has been great to hear you. It has been a pleasure to hear you share where you have arrived at.
Yeah, I mean,
through your journey, because it's been a long journey. How old are you now?
I'm 30 years old.
30 years old.
Oh, you still got a whole lot of life.
Got a whole
lot of life.
Whole lot of living. A whole lot of purpose. Whole lot of people to help. You got some nephews to show, hey, let me tell you about what I've been through and make sure that you don't have to go through this. And when people start to bring you this way, let me be the person to pull you out of it.
Exactly.
You've got a lot and time to do it.
Honestly, like, that's like my driving factor, to be honest with you. I don't got no kids of myself, but my sisters and my little nephews, like, they're the driving factors of why I want to be better. You don't want to be that uncle. You want to be that uncle. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because, man, like, we've already me and my sisters have struggled a lot. Like, and I don't want them to keep going, you know, and keep doing that, you know, like, because there's definitely another way, you know, to do things.
Yeah.
It it just takes a little bit of, you know, of wanting to do it, you know,
Mhm.
and then, you know, God does a lot.
So one of the things that I caught when you called the hotline where Avenues called is that's the first time you reached out
Yeah.
that I heard. And there might have been one that you didn't tell us, but that, from what I heard, that was the first time where you said, I want to do this. I need to reach some help. The other people had put some help in you. And like you said, the people that you had a grudge against worked their butts off to try and help you.
Yeah.
And it did because it sat in there. I heard how it registered to you, and all these things built you to the point where you said, I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said, I want to do this, that's why you're sitting here now, a year and some time later, saying, I've got this, and check it out. I'm working at Landmark Recovery, you know, and I'm about to pay it forward now in a lifetime of paying it forward.
Yep. That's the goal, man. Like, ultimately, because I applied to work at Avenues, but
you might still one day. Yeah. I mean, she'll tell you that this recovery world, it's really big, but it's also really small in terms of how you end up with, like, man, I end up over here,
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'd be like, there's millions of us, but I know you all.
For real.
Yeah. I just think God had another plan for me.
Yeah, he does.
He did. I wouldn't have at Avenues maybe not have been able to grow, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for Avenues, and shout out to all of them, man. Like, they're an awesome facility. Like, from the clinicians to the janitorial to the cooks, man. Like, they're all just lovely people.
If you could talk to the people on probation and parole right now who are really struggling, and say what it is to get to the other side of that, or be able to look at the situation differently, what would you say?
The thing that helped me out the most was stop fighting them. Like, as soon as I stopped fighting them, everything changed. Like, even though I was still using and stuff like that, like, I was able to go down another avenue versus try to fight them and then, you know, call them out, or try to, you know, force their hand and then make them have to do something. Like, it was through, you know, stop fighting them that they were able to offer some help.
Yeah.
Versus,
and I heard you keep showing up. I mean, you kept, even when you were getting high, you kept showing up, and you said, this is what I'm doing. And you were honest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I remember breaking down in front of Maya, I think her name is, the probation officer. Like, I broke down. Like, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to stop. Like, and she's like, okay, well, you got to go to a treatment center. You know, she was able to help send some help, you know. But that's it. Like, if you just stop fighting them, they can help you out, and the outcome will be much better than, you know, having to go in that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
You know, keep going.
Real.
Because it's a never ending. Like, you could really
spend the rest of your life in that parole circle.
You know, I used to joke. I used to say
Probation.
The longest relationship I was ever in was with the state of Colorado.
And now you work for them.
Yeah. Yes, but that's right. We'll stay stuck in it otherwise.
Yeah,
this trap.
Yeah, no, it's true. But yeah, like, I stopped fighting them and I got some help, and like, today I'm not on probation and parole. Like, so
that's, I mean, that is, you said it, like, that was one of the biggest accomplishments of your life, and it is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. It is.
Well, I can't wait to see the next couple accomplishments. The more there's going to be a lot more, and I look forward to seeing what transpires from working at Landmark. And you know, just like Nani, like, I meet a lot of people in here who do a lot of great work in recovery, and started off with, I'm in recovery, and now I work in recovery and help people, and it's purpose and their purpose in life. And I see that for you. I've heard that from you. I've watched people stop through while you've been speaking and get that from you. So it's a pleasure to meet you, Gio.
Thank you. You guys too.
Keep doing what you're doing. All right. We're going to bring you back in the future to talk about this again and tell us how things have moved forward with with Landmark or wherever else you may
Yeah.
be in the future.
All right.
But congratulations on your year plus.
Thank you.
Yes.
Couldn't have done it without the community, to be honest.
Hey, man.
Yep.
The recovery community is all that.
Yeah. Community and God, to be honest.
And
right?
God, that's right. Well, you know, for my something you said, because you know, I beg God for my recovery too. And I tell people, God put the people and the choices in front of me. He gave me the people I needed and the choice. And from there, it was up to me. And I told God, I said, man, if you just give me this 24 hours, I'll run with it from there. You could just help me get that 24. And he gave me the people and the choice.
Yep.
And made it happen. And I see the same thing for you, man.
Thank
So
you. Yep,
I
yep.
get it. I get it.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, so time we're there, I guess. But we want to thank Gio Chavez of Aurora for being here as our guest on Sharing Our Stories. Thank you so much. If you know anybody looking for a place to find recovery, let's recommend Landmark Recovery, and they can meet Gio. All right, and Landmark is in Aurora, right off of 225, and I live. And they are amazing. They are awesome over there. If you want to be a guest on this program, please reach out to us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/SOS Sharing Our Story. You can even do, it was Linda. No, what was Tina? Tina.
Okay.
I'm like, who is
Great.
Linda?
Great. I just heard, I remember the there was a and I was like, I'm gonna mess this up.
Mhm.
So
That's it.
yeah, Tina.
Tina.
Slim, you suck.
No.
Tina.
Mhm.
But you can be just like Tina and say, hey, I have a friend that I want to recommend to come in and speak. And that would be awesome because Gio's awesome. So Tina, thank you. Once again, it's facebook.com/SOS Sharing Our Stories. You are on it unless you find this on YouTube. And we thank you for joining us, and we will see you here again. And thank you to Gio once again.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Our pleasure. And this is Sharing Our Stories.